once or punctured, it's replaced, correct?
Correct.
As a matter of fact, that is Armor Express's policy, that if a vest saves the life of an inmate, you get a free replacement. Correct? Or sorry, saves the life of the CO, you get a free replacement.
I don't know what Armor Express is. I don't believe that's true. It doesn't matter whether you're wearing a ballistic vest or a stab vest from a company. Once it's been hit or you've been assaulted with that vest is no longer wearable. And I believe that's all body armor. And it's replaced, not because of a save. It's just they're not going to take the chance of.
And you'll agree with me that the DOC has no documented situations where a vest was replaced.
Because of an assault?
Correct.
No, but we have information of corrections officers and other departments who have been saved by wearing stab vests. And I'm glad to say that none have been in Pennsylvania. I'm happy to say that.
You know, you made the comment, the problem is we're spending $4 million a year and no one is wearing it, meaning the vest, back when it was optional. Are you familiar with the PSCOA's actual proposal here?
No.
Do you understand then, let me explain it to you, that it's not just an option, but that a CO, if he so chooses, would say, I want a vest, and that if a vest is provided, he must wear it. Do you understand that now?
Yes.
Okay, so you wouldn't just be throwing away money then, if the only vests that you're issuing are actually being worn. You'll agree with that?
I'm not paying for them, but yes, I agree.
Okay. Mr. Bachman.
Bachner.
Bachman, I apologize.
Well,
The COs wear what's referred to as a spike level 2 vest, correct?
That's my understanding.
And on the ballistic side of vests, there's a number of levels, correct?
That's correct.
And you'll agree with me that the general standard for ballistic vests is for an officer to wear a vest that will at least stop the bullet from his own gun, correct?
That's correct.
And the purpose for that is because if a police officer is going to be shot, statistically, it's going to be with his own gun.
That's not correct. Historically, 1 out of every 5 officers that was feloniously slain was feloniously slain with either his or his partner or her partner's weapon. 1 out of every 5. In more recent times, the statistic is down to about 10% of the officers that are feloniously slain are slain with their own weapon. And that's a result of weapons retention training and the weapons retention holsters that are quite popular in law enforcement today.
Mr. Bachner, if I could draw your attention to the PSDD drop tester slide. I believe it's slide 22.
If you could give us 1 minute to get it back up on.
Instead of wasting time, I'll just pull it up. It's this slide here. It says smooth, precise, consistent, impressive, finely made test apparatus. Did you create this slide?
I did.
Do you employ, or do the testing sites employ any 6'2", 250-pound convicted felons who pride themselves on being boxers?
No, but as I should have pointed out, and I thought I had, the people who measured the stab motions and the forces that were generated during those motions in instrumented measurements did employ big bruising people, big police officers and big corrections officers, as well as small and light ones. That's how they generated their percentiles for the 3 different protection levels.
Are you familiar with Richard Davis?
Indeed.
You'll agree with me that Richard Davis did something that was not generally accepted among the field in terms of testing, correct?
I presume you're talking about what has been his self-demonstrations.
Correct. He would shoot himself with a .44 caliber handgun.
Correct.
To prove that his vest worked.
Yes.
The video that we just watched, it didn't show any inmates stabbing those vests while they were on any individual, correct?
Correct.
You'll agree with me that clean. They're vacuum lined. The parameters are set. There's not a whole lot of variance. Correct?
Correct.
We did see at least one demonstration where a pencil was used. Are you familiar with the actual pencil used?
No,
Or
I was
definitely
not
were
there
you?
that day.
Yes, we were there.
Was it made of driftwood?
I have no idea what the number 2 pencil is made of.
You'll agree with me that the force applied didn't even break the shaft of the pencil, it just broke the point.
That's correct.
I'd like to draw your attention to just my last question, because we have these standards for police officers that's generally accepted based on the caliber of gun that they carry. Slide 26, you note seems to match needs. Seems isn't very short. You'll agree.
Perhaps that's a poor choice of words, but what I was trying to generate there was the experience going back into the mid-90s that indicates that if you stop those sharp precision ground ice picks, you're going to have more than enough protection to stop anything that gets confiscated, handmade weapon inside a prison. And the worst that they found out in California after years of study was, interestingly enough, a metal rod about just a little bit larger in diameter than an ice pick that prisoners were taking out of their toilet flushing mechanisms. And then they were taking those tips and grinding them on the stone down to fine points that were very ice pick-like. And that was the worst threat that they could ever find in their prisons, and that's why that original California ice pick was used out there in their original tests. This NIJ engineered precision ground pick is a significantly more difficult threat than the old California ice pick, which was just a common, normal store-bought ice pick. Does that answer your question?
Any questions from the panel? No additional questions. Oh, I'm sorry, you're looking at me. No, my apologies, Mr. Welby.
Deputy, I want to follow up on something that you said. And you mentioned Civia employees, teachers. And I found that kind of interesting because my mother-in-law spent 25 years as a Civia teacher at Frackville. And was she telling me the truth when she said that she spends generally about 6 hours a day alone in a classroom with up to 20 inmates?
I'm not going to say to tell your mother-in-law. No, that was a joke. I think that that's accurate. Now, the times may have changed a little bit where they may spend a little bit more time or a little bit less time. But yes, I think that they spend the majority of the time while they're in the classroom teaching inmates, and when they do that, they're generally behind closed doors as you would when you go into a high school. They're in there with a class of people.
And she always told me that there was no security in there. There was no COs.
Well, again, I'm not going to, I would say that what she meant by that is that there's no one physically in the room with her. I think what you're going to find out across the state is that there's corrections officers who rove in the education building, so they're in and out, not in the classroom themselves, in the hallways and things like that, yes.
She also told me that she has never, not only been required to wear a vest, but never even offered one. Would that be correct?
Again, that's the union representing them. I have no idea what's been offered and what's not been offered. What I can tell you is that the staff members do wear a PAR, a personal alarm transmitter, that if they believe that they're getting in trouble, they can push that to send an alarm, which then corrections officers would respond. And I'm not going to say that they're there immediately, but that at least sends a signal to send help to that area to see what's going on. They have that ability.
Well, Mr. Faulkner, you testified as to stealth attacks. You testified as to stealth attacks?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That personal alarm isn't going to be very effective in a stealth attack, is it?
Not outside my area of expertise, sir.
Normally in a stealth attack, I think what you're referring to is you don't see it coming.
Right, so the situation where somebody gets up close to you and then thrusts into your body from a concealed position.
You
That's
find,
what I was
yeah, you find
talking
out
about.
about it after it's already happened.
That's why you need that vest on.
Oh, okay. Well, let me follow up with you, sir. When you were talking about your professional credentials, you mentioned that you're a consultant and an expert witness.
Correct.
Okay. So you're a professional expert witness?
I don't know what you mean by professional. I've been qualified many times as an expert witness in areas related to my expertise.
How many times have you testified as a expert witness for hire, in, say, the past year?
In the past year, thankfully none. There have been no cases like that.
Okay, good. When were you first contacted by any representative of the Commonwealth to come here and testify today?
I want to say last Thursday or Friday.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Monday a week ago, the first time, and then again Thursday and Friday.
Okay, and you'd had no prior dealings with the Commonwealth prior to Monday a week ago?
On the contrary, I testified here back in about 2005 at a similar hearing.
Oh, okay. Okay, but you weren't contacted until Monday about a week ago. Well, thank you for making time in your schedule. One last thing, you said that the current, you talked about your experience with Second Chance.
Correct.
Fine company. But you said that the current vest is not a Second Chance vest?
My understanding that Armor Express has the present contract.
And you called the present vest a knockoff?
It's a virtual copy of the Second Chance vest that you were purchasing immediately prior to that. And by that, the reason I made that statement was because both the last two vests that have been purchased have the same, it's my understanding, have the same number of plies of the same protective material inside the vest.
As you said, it's a knockoff, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm just trying to figure out how I get my mother-in-law signed into a room with inmates, but other than that, I don't have any.
Any questions from the Commonwealth? I do. Do you believe that teachers are exposed to the same threat as your uniformed officers?
Are they exposed to the same threat? I would say yes. However, what we find is that a teacher is there, they're there to teach something. They're there, and the inmate is looking to gain something from them, whether that's knowledge or trade. They are not there breaking up fights with inmates. They don't run into, they're not involved in riots. They are there to teach. So generally what happens is if you're there and you're providing something from them that they want, less likely they're probably going to be angry at you, or a corrections officer, maintenance, food service, things like that. In addition to trying to teach them something as far as a trade, they're also around weapons, and corrections officers are the police force. They're like the state police in the prison. They're the ones always telling them no. They're the ones always saying, hey, put the food back. Hey, go back to your block. Where's your pass? They're the ones that are confrontational, and they are also the ones that are in stopping fights and riots. So there's a little difference, yes.
No further questions.
And any recross from the association?
Briefly, Deputy indicated the COs are like the state police in the prisons, correct?
That's my opinion, yes.
Are you familiar with the state police contract regarding vest wearing?
No, I'm not.
Are you aware then, or I guess you wouldn't be aware then, that the state police issue vests to everyone from probies all the way up to majors, including union officials who haven't been on the street for years? Are you aware of that?
I'm aware that that just changed, yes. And I'm aware that if you're on duty, you wear a vest. If you're behind the desk, you don't have to. That's your choice.
I'll suggest, Mr. Deputy, that in light of who we represent, that change hasn't